Hi. So the big news coming out today, not just for wrestling and AEW, but just in the terms of media landscape, is that Warner Brothers has finally been sold again to Netflix, of all people. Now, the reason we're talking about this today is obviously because Netflix is the current rights holder to WWE. And we all know WWE do not like Tony Khan and his fun wrestling. So the problem we have here is, where does this go for AEW? Now, AEW has a contract with Warner Brothers again to last about till 2027, I believe, and a year extension possible to 2028. Now, this does not mean as soon as now, AEW will never be on Netflix. I don't think AEW will be on Netflix, to get that clear. However, this doesn't cement anything, because with a deal so big as this, and in one sense can be seen as monopolization in some way, not to the full extent, but it's certainly of one industry being wrestling. And I think the Trump party, not to get political, but they're looking into it. This deal will be delayed until it actually goes through. That'll probably be a year. Or if you remember the Microsoft Activision purchase, that was announced and then took around a year to go through. So these things take a while. Now, regardless, after this, what does this mean for AEW? Well, AEW's contracts still aren't affected via the TV rights. And also the big question mark is what happens with HBO Max. Now, if you want my honest guess, I feel like HBO Max will be either merged or become a sister service, or just flat out discontinued, because if you're a streaming service like Netflix, and there's a streaming rights service that was designed to essentially take a lot of stuff from Netflix is there, you'd rather put it back on Netflix to bolster that interest for Netflix, because it does need that besides brand recognition. However, AEW being on WWE, being on the same network, people are going to act like this is the end of the world. Netflix will not care. If this is an issue, it's purely because WWE will raise a fuss because of their such disdain to AEW. For my personal opinion, I think they need to grow up. And frankly, I don't see the problem if they were both on Netflix. However, I don't think that'll go ahead. I think there's two very viable options. Three, let's go through them. The third that I just remembered was HBO Max could still continue or become a sister service, and it just stays the same. They just kind of fund whatever they got going, but reap all the profits, stuff like that. That could work. I don't think that's likely. Second off, the obvious call is, for me, well, in my opinion, is AEW has a pre-established relationship with Amazon Prime, especially with them hosting their pay-per-views now. I feel like that would be a perfect way to go. I feel like that's the most likely outcome if they don't stay on Netflix. And I feel like that's a good avenue to go. I don't buy my pay-per-views off Amazon because I use Triller. But if Triller started getting Amazon started getting Dynamite and stuff, which is the main thing for over here, another discussion another day, I'd happily use Amazon Prime. I'm already a subscriber, so it kind of makes sense. But that's a notable streaming service that will be bolstered yet again. And Amazon has a lot more experience than Netflix doing live sporting events, specifically football and Champions League coverage and stuff, and tennis. There's a bunch of live sports that Amazon cover. So it works. However, the third option, I think, for me, well, the last option, what I think is very likely that a lot of people don't consider, and I feel like this could and should happen, frankly. I feel like you look at a company like AEW. AEW is very big on collaboration. I feel like AEW is very respectful to all the parties it collaborates with. And honestly, AEW's, frankly, whatever way you spin it, is very good for the wrestling industry. What I feel like would be excellent idea for AEW, and just hope for everyone else wrestling-wise, is I think we could get an AEW streaming service that isn't just for AEW. It will include CMLL, New Japan, Stardom, Ring of Honor, and then let's say some indies out there, DDT, stuff like that, DDT. But also AEW, that works because with a company like that, I know New Japan World exists, and I know there is a way to watch CMLL over in international. I believe it's Triller for me. I don't watch it. I need to. But point is, I feel like maybe if they put AEW into New Japan World and made it, a conjoined thing, I don't know. I feel like that could be a really good option. I feel like that is the best way to go because it kind of establishes and bolsters that collaboration narrative more, and I think that's a huge part of AEW's identity now. So I feel like that would be interesting, and I would prefer that, obviously, as a wrestling fan. But let's say if that was an idea, I think that would be a smart move. I feel like the WWE Network, don't get me wrong, the WWE Network is dead now. And I think a lot of its popularity because, one, how big of a brand WWE is, but two, just how much content that had, frankly. And yeah, let's just say it as it is. AEW doesn't have enough content compared to WWE. Of course not. The WWE's been going on for how many years? AEW's been for 6. But if you paired that with the longest, one of the biggest backlog catalogs ever in New Japan, with a lot of interest from, especially with Kenny Okada, people who are the Bucks, people, the Elite, everyone, people like that. Ring of Honor, especially, Honor Club needs that boost. I feel like that's a big thing. CMLL is, people want CMLL. I will make that very clear. I want CMLL more. So to get that over here and in a conjoined service with AEW, this just improves the impact of, Forbidden Doors, these crossover events, Wrestle Kingdom, stuff like that, the G1s, even just the Tokyo Domes and the Arena Mexico events. People like stuff like this is easier for everyone. And this may be wishful thinking, and yes, it's a dream. But I feel like this is not a bad idea. I would like this to at least be considered. I don't think it will. My honest opinion, I think it goes to Amazon separately as a deal, but I don't think this is a huge thing for AEW. For like stability, people are gonna act like, oh, is AEW under threat? No, the company is doing more than fine. It's excellent. Tony Khan says it all the time. The TV is the main source, and that's not gonna change. And frankly, AEW doesn't need that. AEW's got this sustainability. If AEW did its own streaming service without the New Japan and CMLL, and just maybe the Ring of Honor because it's the same owner, yeah, don't get me wrong, it'd be hard to sell, but I mean, it's still going to sell. It's one of the biggest wrestling companies we've ever seen. So there's no threat. If you're worried about AEW, don't worry, it's fine. It's more than fine. It's an incredible run, and it's going nowhere. Frankly, it's going nowhere. So I think, personally, it'll go to Prime. I do. I think Prime's the logical step. So besides that, I mean, I really would love a service with New Japan and CMLL, but that might just be my brain dreaming, and yes, I would love that. So what do you think is going to happen to AEW, and where does the streaming rights go? Because frankly, it's not out the question it goes to Netflix, but who cares? It's fun to speculate.